After waiting months and months for it, something sensational has finally arrived on my doorstep. Here it is, the HTC Sensation 4G. I'm sorry I had to do the joke just one more time. Here it is, Sensation 4G, one of the hottest Android devices, and it's not even out yet on T-Mobile. Coming June 15th for $199.99 after rebate. It has a 1.2 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon processor, 4.3-inch QHD display, 8 megapixel camera on the back that can shoot 1080p video, front-facing camera, and it has Android 2.3 Gingerbread with HTC Sense 3.0. So it's a hot device, really well spec'd, and it's something that a lot of people have been excited about between this and the Galaxy S2. Now, is this the best Android phone that's coming? Will this be the best one of the year? Is it going to live up to the hype? We'll find out that and more in the full review. But first, special thanks to our friends at Best Buy, because they're going to hook us up with phones just like this that we can give to you in the One Paw Bandit game. So when you go into Best Buy Mobile, you walk out working. They'll help you set up your web, your email, and more. But let's check this sucker out. HTC Sensation 4G. Is this the device to get? Should you go with the Galaxy S2? Or should you wait for something else altogether? Let's go check it out. So it's finally here, the HTC Sensation 4G. Well, it's almost here for you guys. It's coming June 15th for $199.99 after a $50 mail-in rebate. But it's finally here in the PhoneDog labs, and we're getting a chance to take a look at it. Now, this device has been hyped up to no end. It was announced in London, and it just, people took a liking to it for what, you know, dual-core processor. You know, to its credit, the specs are great. Dual-core processor, 8 megapixel camera, front-facing camera, beautiful QHD display that's 4.3 inches, and it's a hot high-end device that's coming to T-Mobile. And this is right on the heels of another hot high-end device, the LG G2X. Now, even though, you know, some people are reporting that it's having issues and they're, you know, they're displeased with things like screen leakage and more, it is a high-end device, and it was one that was heralded in, just like the HTC Sensation is going to be. So it's coming in, high expectations for this. Is this the device to get, or should you go with the G2X or perhaps something like the Galaxy S2, which isn't available in the US just yet, but is rumored to be coming, and of course you can buy it through retailers like Expansis USA and at some point Amazon, I believe. So, you know, which one should you go with? Well, we're going to try to find that out at least a little bit in the review. So here it is, HTC Sensation, like I said, $200 excuse me, after $50 mail-in rebate. And specs-wise, you know, you've got a nice device here. 1.2 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon processor. You have an 8 megapixel camera on the back with a dual LED flash that's capable of shooting 1080p video. And you've got this beautiful design as well. I don't mean to veer off on the specs list, but I mean, look at this design. It's absolutely beautiful. This is kind of interesting. It's a two-toned gray back with this metal strip that runs through. And then over here, beautiful QHD display, 4.3-inch curved QHD display. And you can't really tell. You can tell on this one even less than you can with the Nexus S. I mean, it's hard to tell that it's curved, but you feel it when it's over here on the sides. You put your hands like that. And when you're up at the top as well and you're doing something like scrolling the notifications bar down to the bottom. So front-facing camera, Android 2.3. So Gingerbread out of the box with HTC Sense 3.0 is evident by the new transition effects you can see and more. So revised OS, or new OS rather, revised version of Sense. And all in a pretty hot package here. That's just an absolutely gorgeous device. So, you know, who knows what live up to the hype. We're going to find it out in the review. But first I want to show you how this battery cover pulls off. There we go. See that the battery cover actually encompasses the top part here. So it encompasses that. So when the battery cover's off, it's got this nice kind of separation here. And they just do a really good job with things like that. HTC's really, you can tell that they put a lot of pride in the build quality of this device. And it looks good. 8 gigabyte micro SD card pre-installed as well, so it supports up to 32 gigabytes if you wanted to add one. So you can see how it pops right back in. It just slides under there, sits right back in to the battery door. So up here on the top, 3.5mm headphone jack, power button, volume rocker over here on the left, typical HTC form. Excuse me, micro USB charging port on the bottom, nothing down there, and then of course your camera on the back and your front-facing camera on the front, obviously. So I want to touch really quickly, now that we're out of the way of the design, Android 2.3 with HTC Sense 3.0, and you can hear those weather animations. There are new weather animations. We'll pop that in just so you can see. I'm not doing it nearly as well as Sense does it, but you get the idea. We can go through the demo. They've really revised, I mean, everything. Ground up, you know, in Sense 3.0, a lot of changes. Let's go into thunderstorms. That's a good one. So you can see cool animations. Let's go to rain, too. That's another good one. Fog's pretty cool. But you know, one concern, I'm not going to spoil the review too much, but one concern I've had about this device, for a 1.2 gigahertz dual-core powered device, there's a little bit of a lag and that's evident when you're doing certain things. So you look at that versus a Galaxy S2 or a G2X that really, they don't have any lag, and that presents a case to go with something else as opposed to this. So not saying that this isn't a great device, but I have been a little bit just mildly disappointed. So it comes with Android 2.3, Gingerbread, like I said, with Sense 3.0, and you see a lot of changes, not only in Gingerbread, but it's really masked by Sense 3.0. So a lot of changes in Sense 3.0. One you're seeing right now, the transition between the various home screens. So you still have 7 home screens, but you'll see a lot of little differences, like how the screens fade in and fade out, how they're flipping around like that as opposed to just coming in. Click back on that, and you can see the carousel-like effect that we saw on the Evo 3D at CTIA, which is also running Sense 3.0, and on the Evo View 4G that we saw at CTIA as well, that's also coming to Sprint. So you can play around with that all day long, and those spin around. And you can really see they put a lot of care into the animations here. For example, when I start to scroll, you see over here on the clock it has a little rotation dial, and you can see when I scroll over right here, you can see, let me get it to where you can see PM. You can see how it shows the P's behind. So a lot of work, a lot of detail in the animation of these devices. And also you can really tell a difference in the QHD display. 4.3 inches, and it's QHD. It's high resolution. It looks good. The fonts have been improved. Let me get it zoomed in here and wait for it to focus so you can see how the fonts look. A little bit bigger there. You can see Gmail messages, contacts. I don't know how well it's showing off on the camera, but mark it, all of these things, the font is just slightly bigger and higher resolution. It's something you can tell, it's noticeable. And then in addition to that, you see new capacitive buttons here, a slight change to the home button. The home looks a little bit different, and you can see this over here, the little customization button, and then you can see the menu button has changed as well. Now you come in here, and this is very reminiscent of the Droid Incredible 2 here with the way the icons scroll up and down. So you can see instead of scrolling one by one, you know, line by line, it scrolls section by section. So when I click it once, it takes the entire section down, and you can see it showing over here, entire section down again and again. And down here you have all apps frequent and downloaded, so you can isolate your apps by stuff obviously you've downloaded, things that you open quite a bit, and then all of your apps. Now outside of that, you still have the usual customization options, list, share, you can remove apps, and you can sort those as well. So you still have those, but then where you'll see a difference, and if you worked with Inspire or the Thunderbolt, you'll see the similarities here, but it builds on HTC Sense 2.0 with HTCSense.com and HTC Hub. So we'll go in here and take a look. Gone is the boring, you know, Sense 1.5. Let me pull out the merge just so you can see a difference here between the Sense builds. We'll go over here, click on that. Here's how the old Sense looked, Sense 1.5. Here's how 2.0 and 3.0 look. This is running 3, like I said. Big difference in the personalization options. You can see you can change the scene, the skin, the wallpaper, and then on Sense 3.0 you can change the lock screen. So when we powered it off, I'll power it back up. That's what the lock screen looks like when you open it up. And I happen to have it on the weather one where it pops up and shows me the time and the weather at that moment. Now you can do one of two things. You can scroll this up and let go, and it brings it right open again, or opens it right back up. And then you have these frequently used applications down here. I can bring over one like Messages, for example, right into the circle, and it brings up my messaging interface. So it's nice to have those shortcuts. You can go back over here and change that by going to the lock screen, and you have a couple of different options here. You have wallpaper, you have photo album, friend stream, weather, stocks, clock, and more. So I happen to have it on weather. Now where you change that is you go into settings, and I can change the shortcuts. I can assign new applications. So let's say I don't want phone to be one. I can change it to something else. Assign something else to it. I assign calendar to it, for example, and click done. I'll apply it, and then when I go to close, you can see that phone's no longer there. It's been replaced by calendar. But the customizations don't stop there. You can see, in addition to that, you of course have your skins that you can choose from. Now I've downloaded some from HTCSense.com, or from the HTC Hub rather. You can see Memories and Music Lover, which actually don't come pre-installed on the device. It comes pre-installed with HTC Blue Sky and Burgundy. Now you can click Get More and go to the Hub, which is one of my favorite things about HTC Sense. It started in 2.0 and it's expanded out to 3.0, where you can go and get your own skins and really customize the device to your liking. So I'll go to Burgundy, for example. We'll apply that, and you'll see immediately it's not going to change a huge amount. You'll see that the app drawer is still exactly the same, but you'll see some burgundy tones when you're in certain things. So for example, I click on Messages, and you see that's burgundy now instead of blue. So you have some abilities to customize like that. I can go in here, change the wallpaper. We'll go to HTC Wallpapers and bring up Again, I downloaded those two. So let's go to one of the stock wallpapers, and we'll make it, no, let's say, oh, that one looks fun. We'll make that one yet. Apply that, and we're back in business. So actually, I don't like that at all, but we'll change that in just a second. But you see, a lot of customization options on this. They've really done a good job of preserving that from Sense 2.0 to Sense 3.0. Now, pre-installed on this device, you have a couple of T-Mobile apps. You have Highlight. There's HTC Hub, just like I was talking about. You have Lookout pre-installed. T-Mobile's My Account, My Device. Polaris Office. And then you have T-Mobile Mall, T-Mobile TV, Quick Video Chat, Visual Voicemail, Wi-Fi Calling, and Wi-Fi Hotspot. So you have hotspot capabilities with this device, which is hugely nice when you're out somewhere and you don't have internet. The ability to wirelessly tether to your device is a huge pro. And then to continue along on Sense 3.0 changes, you can see up here, like some of the Sense 2.0 devices, this was here, the carousel of recently used applications. What's different, you can see notifications and quick settings here. So I can jump over to quick settings, turn Wi-Fi on and off, turn mobile network on and off, Wi-Fi hotspot, and more. And then HTC has built in Sense 3.0 their own task killer, which I can click on this and go to kill all, and it kills what it's supposed to kill. There we go. Kill all the applications, will refresh, and you can see the memory that I saved by doing that. So I have Advanced Task Killer on here just for a test, but you really don't need it anymore because like Samsung, like Motorola, they've gone the way of including their own task manager. So you see a lot of changes with Sense 3.0. I think they're mostly good changes. It's going to be a love-hate thing. You may not like the carousel, for example, but hey, it's on there. So let's take a look at the widgets as well. Same HTC widgets, and one thing I've always liked about HTC, first of all, their widgets are absolutely beautiful in most cases. Second of all, they give you the ability to choose select sizes of the widget. So if you want a big one, you can do a big one. If you want a small one, you can do a small one, etc. But also it preserves the Android widgets as well. So let's go down here, for example, and look at Calendar. So you'll see Calendar, there's two widgets. There's the HTC widget and the Android widget. Now the Android one's a pretty stock, kind of boring calendar widget. And see there with that removed, see how it's holding right there? That's kind of the lag that I'm talking about, or some of the little issues that I'm seeing. Or, we'll do, I've got one, for example, we'll bring Twitter out here. And it's not doing it as bad right now, but you can really see it at certain points depending on what you're doing. So we'll bring this back up anyway, back to the calendar like I was talking about, and we'll go to HTC. Now within the calendar on HTC, you have several different widgets to choose from. You have this big monthly widget, you have an agenda widget, or you have the small one as well. So then from there I can take that, put it right on the desktop, and it's just nice to have that ability to not only choose from different sizes of widgets, but HTC's done a great job through all of the builds of Sense, 2.0 and 3.0 in particular, of making them really customizable. So each user has their own flavor, their own colors they want to put on their device, and with HTC they really have made that happen. Now let's go into the internet and take a look, into the inner tubes, and take a look at PhoneDog.com. Take a look at pinch to zoom, things like that. Now not a lot of changes here. You can see that Windows, still very similar. If I want to open up a second window, I bring it right up, and then I can go right back to PhoneDog using this nice colorful graphic. I mean, it's very nice as opposed to stock Android where it's just text, and that page is loading right up on T-Mobile's 4G connection. So we'll see there. 1,520 milliamp hour battery. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on in the video. But battery life's been kind of disappointing, but we'll go over that later. So you can see pinch to zoom, very, very fast, little to no lag whatsoever. And let's go up here. You can see that the flash advertisements are over here running. Maybe a little bit of lag there, but nothing to write home about. Definitely a fast device. And of course, you can use it in portrait or in landscape, which I've turned landscape off because if you watch my videos, you know that I don't care for landscape. So let's go back in here and kill that. Actually, not kill it. Let's turn it back on. Auto rotate screen. Ba-bam! Internet, let's do this. There we go. Pinch to zoom. Landscape throws it right over into landscape. You see that big flash advertisement up there on the top. It pops up. And then we can zoom in. So all in all, pretty reasonable, pretty fast. But you look at it and you're like, for a 1.2 gigahertz dual core device, it doesn't seem any faster than some of the 1 gigahertz single core devices out there in the market. I mean, I can name a list of devices that run as fast as this that are still single core processor based devices. So it's good, don't get me wrong, but it's nothing exciting or nothing that really puts itself ahead of the pack, at least in internet browsing speed. Now other things include refresh, you can RSS feed stuff, overall menu looks exactly the same, but that's the browser.